This is a film to review adding a patio covering to this structure. And when I take the same roof planes at a 5/12 pitch and align them down here at the drip edge, we have this problem here at 5/12 pitch. When we lower them to 4/12 pitch, it still looks a little close. And so I've lowered them to 3.5/12 pitch. To go to scissor trusses, we're into a 1.5/12 pitch for the lower chord, which I didn't think was a good result, so I did not review that. So everything we'll be looking at is from a stick-built standpoint. And this was how I chose this. This is the existing downspout here. We would add another one on this side here. This is one method here where we have to add these 18 by 18 by 32 into the ground concrete pedestals for the columns. So these squares need cut out of that existing concrete, and then that excavated down and those poured up, formed and poured up. And then we have the main beam down through the center, and it is going to bear on the interior wall there, and you would have to confirm that the header over here is at least 2x12s, two 2x12s. And this ceiling, I'm showing it finished in wood, tongue and groove, but it could be just, vinyl ceiling. Then we have another set of LVLs coming across here and holding this end of the beam here. And this method just puts framed wall on both sides with the siding, whatever siding, whether it's T111 or some new siding, on both sides. And so the floor plan looks like this. I have this depth either at 15.9 or 15.6. We'll have to confirm which it is. But these are the members that would be required for this stick framing, where the ridge beam is a couple 11.25 LVLs. The rafters are 2x6s, just standards 2x6 SPF. You've got to confirm that this would be two 2x12s, and then these are big also. This is 11.25, two 11.25 at this end of this beam to hold this end of it. The margin beams are 9.25 LVLs, sets of 9.25 LVLs. And when it's framed up like that, this with the drip edges aligned with the existing roof, this is what you have as your section view in here, where the bearing on the top of these is about 8'3" from the concrete. That concrete slopes pretty good though. So it's going to be higher than that out at the end, and 10'1" in here close to the door for the height to the bottom of that finished beam. And from the side, I have this at 1/4 inch per foot slope. If we do that, it's 7'7" to the bottom of the beam here, and 7'3" to the bottom of the beam here. And I only mentioned that because if we wanted to drop this beams here, if we wanted to drop those below these roof planes so that we could get a higher pitch on the upper planes or on the roof planes, we can only drop it about 6 or 7 inches before this becomes limited to 80 inches, which is just a standard door height. And I really wouldn't want to drop it below this door height anyway. So I don't think dropping it's really an option to get that pitch up, and I think 3.5/12 is steeper than what you have inside in your vaulted ceilings inside. I kind of roughed out the material that would be needed. There are a couple different methods that we can do this at this end. Rather than have these two heavy LVLs running across here, you can just have a central column. But then again, that requires cutting out more of this concrete for a third pier at that end. Another way to do this though, rather than making these cutouts at least at this end, is to just go ahead and push it out the required 18 inches and then pour your piers out here, and then this is just concrete slabs to follow the slope of this between those. And once you do that, it adds up, 1.5 feet to the usable space under here for one, and you don't have to cut into this existing concrete for two. But once you do that, you decide before you do that, obviously, whether you're going to use these two LVLs across here without the central column, or whether you're going to eliminate those and have the central column. And moving that the 18 inches, there was a number of items that was pretty cool, that it did not increase the size of any of these members, that extra 18 inches. And the material list changed not very much really. and I calculated that with Menard's little discount. The early list was $14.50 or so for this, and it wasn't any more than about another $120 for this. So that seems like the sensible thing, is to go ahead and just add the 18 inches to the concrete at that end. This still has the requirement of these pedestals back here, however. But if we want to eliminate those, looking from the side, those 9.5 inch LVLs are running this way here, underneath that, and rather than just stopping before the brick, if you're willing to get into that interior wall, you could have them come in and bear on that interior wall. And that would allow you to eliminate both of those columns back at that end. And so you go from this, eliminating those, to this, and this is an updated kind of thing. One of these two ceiling treatments are vinyl, the numbers there. Some of these changes and alternatives from the exterior. This is using the two LVLs across here with no central column, and this is just a framed wall with siding on both sides. You can open that, but I don't like it in this arrangement because that beam had to be so large. If that was a little smaller, I think it would look better. But as it is, I don't particularly care for this open look, and mainly just because of that. And the third alternative is the column in the center to hold that beam. And you can see our little pedestals here. I don't think this is what you would do. So this is, you can't really see it. The house moves back, but this is an extra 18 inches added to that. And finally, this is dropping those columns back at that side, or at that end. From this side, same thing, same series of looks. If only this thing was 9s, and probably, I will double check, that probably this could be 3 9s maybe, and then it becomes a little shorter. But that's more material than 2 11s, and that's the single column. And then this is where you can really see the 18 inch move. And this final section was put together because you're putting this up to see about shading that area, and this program allows you to, once you set the location in the true north, it allows you to see what kind of shadowing you're going to have, or what kind of shading you'll have. And so I made a quick series here so you would have an idea of this going into it. This starts on summer solstice at June 21st at 8 a.m., at noon, and at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. And then halfway through the summer, about August 4th, this is 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. And then at the end of summer, at fall equinox, you have 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. And in the spring equinox, it's very similar. At 8 p.m., 4 p.m., noon, and 8 a.m. So that was that. That should give you a few ideas about what you might or might not want to do. Feel free to let me know any of your ideas. Thanks. Okay, after I actually finished that film yesterday, it occurred to me that we had also talked about a shed roof structure rather than this gable roof, to at least look at it. And so this is what the gable roof was, and which is 701E, we'll call it. And we go to the shed roof, or just shed down this way, and this is how the material list and the members change. These have to be 2x10s, and you'll bring them all the way back and bear on this interior wall. I would say you just cut the roof back and put legs down to that interior wall. Still a couple 11 1/4s, and these still have to be 18x18. And if you're willing to live with a center column here, then these go down to 5 1/2, picking up almost 6 inches of height out there, because this is the 11 1/4s here, so you have 7 foot from here to there. But the thing is, out here, this is almost 14 inches high, this piece of fascia here. And then there's your interior dimensions. And if you can live with the center column, these go down to 5.5s, two 5.5 inch LVLs. And you get that a little more trim looking outside. And this is what it looks like inside, up under. And there's the big beam over here with no central column, and there's when we have the central column. These exterior angles then, with and without the central column, just ignore that chimney jumping down, but the big 11.25 and then the two 5.5s. So now that should give you enough information to make some judgments about what you want to do.